Potluck in the Pines, Episode 4. It was one of those perfect camping spots, a quiet clearing in the pines just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. The air was crisp, with the faintest hint of pine sap and wood smoke from a distant campfire. Miss Daisy was parked under a canopy of trees, and Sadie was stretched out in the shade, her tail lazily thumping against the dirt. I'd been there for a couple of days, enjoying the solitude when a few other rigs started pulling in. Vans, old RVs, a pickup truck with a camper shell. It wasn't long before the clearing turned into a little nomadic neighborhood. It's funny how quickly we nomads connect. You see someone setting up camp nearby, and before you know it, you're swapping stories over a cup of coffee. One afternoon, a woman named Brenda, who was parked in a converted school bus, wandered over to my site. "You know," she said, looking around, "we've got a good little group here. We should do a potluck." "A potluck?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Why not? We're all out here together. Let's share what we've got." I'll admit, I hesitated at first. Organizing anything isn't exactly my strong suit, and I wasn't sure if I'd have much to contribute. But the more we talked about it, the more excited I got. Brenda and I spread the word, inviting everyone in the area to bring a dish or just show up. The next evening, we dragged our folding tables and camp chairs into a circle around a fire pit. The potluck turned out to be an incredible patchwork of creativity and resourcefulness. Brenda whipped up a batch of chili using canned beans and fresh veggies she'd picked up at the farmer's market. A retired couple shared a fruit cobbler they'd baked in a Dutch oven. I contributed a big pot of chicken and rice stew I'd made on my little 2-burner stove. The variety was amazing. Someone had homemade bread. Another guy brought pickles he'd fermented himself. There were even some gourmet touches. A young couple with a rooftop tent brought brie and crackers they'd picked up during their travels. As the night wore on, the fire crackled and the air filled with laughter and conversation. A man named Gary, who had been on the road for over a decade, told hilarious stories about the time he accidentally camped on a private ranch and ended up having breakfast with the ranchers. A woman named Tess played her guitar and sang a hauntingly beautiful song she'd written about life on the road. When it was my turn to share, I talked about the first time I camped on BLM land, how terrified I was of being alone in the middle of nowhere. Now, the road feels like home, and gatherings like this remind me why I love this lifestyle. But it wasn't just the food or the stories that made the night special, it was the sense of community. Out here, where life can sometimes feel isolating, we came together to create something bigger than ourselves. After we'd eaten, Brenda pulled me aside. "You know what I love about this?" she said. "Nobody's trying to one-up anyone. We're just here sharing what we've got." She was right. Nobody cared if you showed up with a gourmet dish or a can of beans. It was about the people, not the food. When the fire died down and everyone started heading back to their rigs, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. The next morning, as I packed up Miss Daisy to head to my next destination, Brenda stopped by to say goodbye. "Let's do this again sometime," she said. "Definitely," I replied, and I meant it. Life on the road might be about freedom, but it's moments like the potluck in the pines that remind me how important it is to stay connected.